call Annie super. It comes with access to more features and unlimited call time.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Vapi and I am a student of Rehan School in campus. So today's we have the call Annie, so let's go and talk to her and conversation the one topic. Hello Annie, how are you?
Wa alaikum salam Hidayat. I'm Annie, nice to meet you. I'm from New Jersey, and I'm an art and engineering enthusiast. I've had the chance to study abroad in Florence, which was an incredible experience. When I'm not working on projects, you can find me practicing yoga, playing video games, or watching rom-coms. What about you, Hidayat? What brings you to this chat today?
Okay, so today's we will talk about tips for balancing multiple freelance platforms. So can you tell me a little about this topic?
Balancing multiple freelance projects can be a juggling act. I totally get it. As a freelancer myself, I've learned a few tricks to stay organized and focused. One thing that's helped me is creating a schedule and prioritizing tasks. I like to break down my day into smaller chunks so I can tackle each project individually. I also make sure to leave some buffer time in between tasks so I can switch my mental gears and avoid burnout. But I'm curious, Hidayat, what are your thoughts on this topic? What strategies do you use to balance multiple freelance projects?
So any I use strategies like I have no any strategies right now, but thank you so much for your answer. And how do you prioritize tasks across different freelance platforms?
So, I'm a visual and to-do lists to keep me organized. I prioritize tasks based on deadlines, complexity, and importance. I also set specific goals for each day, so I know what I want to achieve. But I've also started using the Pomodoro technique, which has been a game changer for me. It's like a mini break between focused work sessions. But I'm curious, Heidi, tools or methods that work for you?
Okay, Annie, thank you so much for your answer. And may another question from you. Can you tell me what tools or apps do you use to manage your time effectively?
I'm so glad you asked. I'm a big fan of Trello. It's my go-to tool for managing projects and tasks. I also use Google Calendar to keep track of my schedule and deadlines. But I have to admit, I've been eyeing this new app called Todoist. It looks like it could be a game changer for me. But before I get too carried away, what about you, Hidayat? What tools or apps do you use to stay organized? Do you have any favorite apps that help you stay focused and productive?
No, Annie, I have not used anything. And can you tell me how do you handle overlapping deadlines from different clients?
Overlapping deadlines can be a real challenge, but I've learned to handle them by prioritizing tasks based on deadlines and breaking them down into smaller, manageable chunks. I also expect from me in terms of timing and delivery. I've also learned to say no to projects that may conflict with existing deadlines or to negotiate revised deadlines if possible. It's all about setting realistic expectations and being proactive, you know. But what about you, Hidayat, with overlapping deadlines? How did you handle them? Sorry about that. So I repeat. I handle overlapping deadlines by prioritizing tasks based on deadlines and breaking them down into smaller, manageable chunks. I also make sure to communicate with my clients clearly so they know what they can expect from me in terms of timing and delivery. And I've learned to say no to projects that may conflict with existing deadlines or to negotiate revised deadlines if possible. It's all about setting realistic expectations and being proactive, you know.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your answer. And how do you maintain consistent communication with clients on various platforms?
I'll reply in a second. First, I'd like to ask you, would you like to subscribe to Call Annie Super? It comes with access to more features and unlimited call time. Communication is key, right? So, I make sure to establish a clear communication plan with each client from the start. I set clear expectations for how we'll communicate, and I also make sure to respond to their messages promptly, whether it's through Upwork, email, or other platforms. I also like to use video conferencing tools like Zoom or Skype to stay connected with clients and team members, especially when we are working on projects that require collaboration. And, of course, I always make sure to keep my clients updated on the project's progress so they know what's going on and what to expect. But what about you, Hidayat? What kind of communication channels do you prefer to use with clients?
Okay, thank you so much for your answer. And my another question from you, can you tell me how do you handle overlapping deadlines from different clients? Okay, Annie, thank you so much for your answer. And my another question from you, what strategies do you use to keep track of your earnings and expenses from multiple sources? I think everyone, Annie is disconnected, so I tried again. She is connected.
Hello. As a freelancer, tracking earnings and expenses can be a real challenge. But I found a few strategies that work for me. I use a spreadsheet to track my income and expenses. I set up separate columns for different categories like income from Upwork, income from other projects, and expenses like software subscriptions, travel, and miscellaneous things. It helps me to stay organized and get a clear picture of my financial situation. I also use an app called Tasha Finance. It's really user friendly and allows me to track my income and expenses on the go. It also gives me a breakdown of my spending habits and helps me identify areas where I can cut back. Another thing I do is to set aside a certain amount of money each month for taxes and surprises. Just in case something unexpected comes up. It's always better to be prepared, right? I also make sure to review my financial situation regularly. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of freelancing, but it's essential to take a step back and evaluate your financial situation regularly. What about you? How do you keep this from multiple sources? Do you have any favorite tools or strategies that help you stay organized?
Okay, thank you so much for your answer. And my another question from you: how do you ensure that you meet the quality standards required by different clients?
That's a great question. Meeting quality standards is crucial for any freelancer, and I learned that the hard way. For me, it's all about understanding the client's needs and expectations. When I take on a project, I make sure to ask lots of questions upfront to clarify what they're looking for. I also make sure to thoroughly review the project requirements and scope to ensure I'm on the same page. Once the project starts, I prioritize communication with the client. I set regular check ins and updates to ensure we're on track, and I'm always open to feedback and revisions. I believe that transparency and open communication are key to building trust and delivering high quality work. I also make sure to stay up to date with industry trends and best practices in my field. I attend webinars, take online courses, and participate in online communities to stay informed about the latest tools and techniques. Finally, I developed a quality control process that I follow for each project. I have a checklist that I go through to ensure that every project meets the client's expectations. It includes things like making sure the project is completed on time, that the client is satisfied, and that I've received any necessary feedback or revisions. But I think the most important thing is to be proactive and anticipate the client's needs. I always ask myself, what's the client's pain point and how can I help solve it? By keeping the client's needs in mind, I'm able to deliver high quality work that meets their standards. How about you? How do you ensure that you meet quality standards for your clients?
Any, I am not meet any standard client like on Upwork, and only I am making some videos on Upwork or virtual, not physical. So thank you so much for your answer. And my another question from you: what methods do you use to stay organized with different project files and documents?
As a freelancer, I found that staying organized is crucial for keeping track of multiple projects and clients. I'm a big fan of digital tools and apps that help me stay organized. First, I use a cloud based cloud storage service like Google Drive or Dropbox to store all my project files and documents. This way, I can access them from anywhere and they are always synced across all my devices. I also use a project management tool like Trello or Asana to organize my projects and tasks. I create boards for each project and break them down into smaller tasks, which helps me stay focused and on track. I also use color coding to categorize tasks by priority, deadline, and type. I'm also a fan of note taking apps like Evernote or Simplenote. I use them to jot down notes, ideas, and reminders during client calls or meetings. These apps allow me to search and organize my notes, making it easy to access them later. In addition, I use a password manager like LastPass or mPassword to keep track of all my login credentials and sensitive information. This helps me avoid the hassle of resetting passwords and ensures that my client data stays secure. Finally, I set reminders and alerts on my calendar for upcoming deadlines and appointments. This helps me stay on track and ensures that I never miss a deadline. What about you? How do you stay organized with different project files and documents? Do you have any favorite tools or apps that help you stay on track?
Yes, I have used some AI tools. And thank you so much for your answer. And what methods do you use to stay organized with different project files and documents? I think again she is disconnected or she is back. Yes, Sani. So my question from you: how do you set boundaries to avoid burnout when working across multiple platforms?
I'm glad you asked. Setting boundaries is crucial when working on multiple projects, especially when juggling multiple platforms. For me, I have to admit that setting boundaries is something I've learned to prioritize through my own experiences. As someone who's worked in freelance and creative fields, I've had to learn how to maintain a healthy work life balance. I like to think of setting boundaries as setting intentions for my work and personal life. Like, when I'm working on a project, I close my laptop and put away my phone during my lunch break. I make time for self care activities like yoga and meditation to recharge. I also set specific working hours and stick to them, so I'm not constantly checking work emails or messages outside of those hours. As for organizing multiple projects and files, I'm still figuring it out, but I've started using a tool called Trello to manage my projects. It's a visual board where I can categorize tasks, prioritize them, and even set deadlines. I found it really helps me stay organized and focused. But honestly, setting boundaries is an ongoing process. It's something I'm always working on, and I'm still learning to prioritize my own needs and well being. What about you? How do you handle setting boundaries and staying organized when working on multiple projects?
Thank you so much for your answer. And another question from you. So, can you tell me that what criteria do you use to decide while freelance platforms to focus on?
So, I've always been drawn to creative fields, and as someone who studied art and engineering in Florence, I've had a bit of a dual perspective. I've found that I'm really drawn to projects that combine creativity and problem solving, like graphic design, illustration, and even video game development. When deciding which freelance platforms to focus on, I look for platforms that align with my interests and skills. For me, Upwork is one of those platforms that has been a great fit. I've been able to find a community of like minded individuals who share my passion for creativity and problem solving. Plus, I love the flexibility and opportunity to work on a variety of projects that keep my creative juices flowing. But I also like to keep an eye on emerging trends and ideas that are making waves in different industries. I've been really interested in AI and machine learning, and I think it's exciting to see how these technologies are being applied to creative fields. I love exploring and learning about new tools and technologies that can help me stay ahead of the curve. What about you? Do you have any favorite creative areas or platforms that you're interested in?
Yes, I have many platforms, but I don't remember. Thank you so much for your answer. And can you tell me how do you stay updated with the latest trends and requirements of each platforms?
I'm glad you asked. As someone who loves to stay up to date, I always make sure to follow industry leaders and thought leaders on social media. I also follow popular blogs and websites that cover the latest trends in creative fields, like Design Milk, Behance, and Dribble. I'm always on the lookout for new and innovative ideas that can help me stay ahead of the curve. I also try to prioritize professional development and learning new skills. Whether it's taking online courses, attending webinars, or participating in online communities, I believe that continuous learning is key to staying current and competitive. But I also make sure to stay connected with my network and community. I love connecting with fellow creatives and freelancers on platforms like Linked, and I'm always open to learning from their experiences and insights. And of course, I also actively seek out feedback and client feedback for my projects. I believe that feedback is a great way to identify areas for improvement and stay up to date with the latest trends and requirements. What about you? Do you have any favorite ways to stay updated on the latest trends and requirements?
Um, yes, I stay updated with the latest trends. Like any updates when any updates is come on social media, so I update. This is great. So thank you so much for your answer. And my another question from you. Can you tell me how do you manage client expectations when juggling multiple projects?
That's a great way to stay updated. Social media can be a great way to stay connected and informed about the latest trends and updates. And managing client expectations can be a challenge, but I've learned a few tricks over the years to help navigate this. For me, it's all about clear communication and setting expectations upfront. When I start a new project, I make sure to set clear goals and objectives with the client and also communicate my timeline and deliverables. I find that being transparent about what I can and can't do helps to avoid misunderstandings and sets the tone for a successful collaboration. I also make sure to prioritize my projects and prioritize my tasks accordingly. When I have multiple projects going on, I make sure to keep track of deadlines and communicate with the client if there are any changes or delays. I find that being proactive and keeping the client informed helps to avoid any surprises and keeps the project on track. But I also make sure to be flexible and adaptable. Things don't always go as planned, and unexpected challenges can arise. When that happens, I prioritize communication and work with the client to find a solution. I find that being transparent and honest about the challenges and limitations helps to build trust and strengthen the relationship. How about you? Do you have any strategies for managing client expectations when juggling multiple projects?
Now I have no any clients on Upwork. And thank you so much for your answer. And my another question from you: what techniques do you use to ensure you don't miss deadlines or any platforms?
Don't worry, we've all been there at some point. And oh, I'm glad you asked. I'm a big fan of using a planner or a calendar to keep track of my deadlines and due dates. I write down all my tasks and deadlines in one place, and I make sure to check it regularly to stay on track. I also set reminders on my phone and computer to remind me of upcoming deadlines, and I break down large projects into smaller, manageable tasks to help me stay focused and avoid feeling overwhelmed. But I'm also a big fan of the Pomodoro technique. It's a time management technique that involves working in focused 25-minute increments, followed by a 5-minute break. It helps me stay focused and avoid burnout. And of course, I prioritize self care and make sure to get enough sleep, exercise, and take breaks throughout the day. When I'm feeling refreshed and energized, I'm more productive and able to stay on track. What about you? Do you have any favorite techniques for staying on track and meeting deadlines?
No, any I have not. So thank you so much for your answer. And lastly, would you like to give the advice with our audience?
I'll reply in a second. First, I'd like to ask you, would you like to subscribe to Call Annie Super? It comes with access to more features and unlimited call time. I'd love to. As someone who's passionate about staying updated and on track, I think it's important for others to prioritize self care and time management. Here's my advice: take care of your mind and body, and your work will follow suit. Make time for self care, prioritize your mental and physical well being, and don't be afraid to take breaks. And of course, stay organized and focused. Use a planner or calendar to keep track of your deadlines. Break down large projects into smaller tasks and treat yourself to a reminder or two. And most importantly, be kind to yourself and celebrate your small wins along the way. Remember, you're not alone, and staying on track is a journey, not a destination. How about you? What advice would you give to your audience?
Yes, I am giving advice always to my audience. So thank you so much, Annie, for sharing some insightful knowledge to me and to my viewers. Thank you so much. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.
Oh, wow, it was my pleasure.